Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
A very warm welcome once again to Issues at Hand this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of Church of Uganda Family TV and our audience. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, comfort and luxury at its best. In case you want any of their services, they are located in the heart of Entebbe town, and you can always go there and find out. For more information, you can call the numbers on your screens right now, and you will get in touch with Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. My name is Karen Wamani. Thank you so much for being a part of Issues at Hand. Today, we are discussing the drainage system in Kampala City. Now, of recent, we have seen that some places in Kampala City are flooding each time it rains. Of course, we want to understand why is this happening and how exactly is KCCA planning, or even its partners planning to solve the problem of floods in the city before it gets to a situation that we are not comfortable with. Actually, one of the questions we shall get to ask is it going to get worse or better? But let's introduce our guest for today. His name is Engineer Wasswa Hassan, and he is the Supervisor, Drainage Development, KCCA. You're welcome to studio this morning.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me, and good morning to the viewers.
Okay, you're going to have to raise your voice a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for being with us today. Could you first take us through maybe the mandate of KCCA as an entity of government?
The mandate of KCCA in terms of the infrastructure is that we have to ensure fully functional infrastructure. Okay. This is in terms of maintenance and development. Development, I mean, we create new infrastructure. Maintenance, we maintain the existing infrastructure. So in a nutshell, KCCA's mandate is to ensure that the public is safe and they are comfortable with living in the city, both the commuting public and the residential public. Yes.
How far with that? Because we're seeing some people are very uncomfortable living in the city, considering KCCA drives them off the streets when they try to sell their things and stuff like that. So how far with this mandate?
That's a legal aspect and the policy issue. However, for the people to be comfortable, the city has to be clean. And some of our vendors and our people on the street really don't maintain cleanliness. And one of the key outputs of KCCA is to ensure an orderly city. So it is very difficult for you to have an orderly city with a disorganized population. So the KCCA comes in just to put in line those ones that are not orderly. Of course, if you're orderly doing your business very well, I don't think KCCA will ever knock on your door. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Let's take a look at the situation at hand, and those are the floods. What is causing the rampant? Of course, it's the rain, but why is it that there are rampant floods? Is it the issue of not constructing the roads well, or help us understand why is it that at this particular time in life there are rampant floods?
Let me first explain how floods occur, okay. Because for our viewers to understand what causes floods, it is a process from the rain, from the generation, then it finds its way down to the valleys. Now, ideally, what should happen would be like when the water is collected, it should be conveyed by a drainage system onto the discharge point. So any problem with that system is one that creates the floods. What do I mean? If there's a problem at collection and you don't connect your water very well to the drainage system, it's just going to run onto the road. That causes a flood. So it can happen at that point. Then at conveyance stage, if there's a problem within the system, if the channels are small, if the channels are blocked, for example, we have an issue of solid waste, it also creates a problem. Then I'll go to the final point, which is the discharge point. If the discharge point has a problem, for example, the wetland is encroached, the primary channels are constricted, then we shall have a flooding problem. So the major cause of flooding is an alteration in that system. Once it is affected by the natural flow of water, then we have an issue of flooding, and that's what happens on most of our roads. And most of our roads are caught in the second part of the process, which is the conveyance process, which is from the collection towards the discharge. So that is the issue. That is the major cause of the flooding we have in the city.
Okay. So talking about the drainage system, some people are saying that Kampala as a city has poor drainage As an expert of drainage, do you think this is true, and why?
I'm going to say yes and no, because KCCA as an institution has tried to expand the channels that we can. For example, if you have passed by Bwenje, you realize that when these videos are trending, Bwenje no longer trends. If you are here in Kampala in the past, you realize that Bwenje was a major black spot for us. So we are trying to address the challenges, but it's a catch-up process because one, the resources required for the complete overhaul of the drainage system is it's massive. We don't have all those funds to. We would like to wake up one morning and dig up the whole of Kampala and expand all the drainage, but we have challenges of the funding and also of space where we can put these drainages. Now we are getting there, and I'm sure in a couple of years we shall have reached where we actually want Kampala to be. As long as we have cooperation from especially the public, we are confident that we shall achieve a flood-free city.
Okay. You mentioned about resources. Yes. What are some of those resources that you need?
The most important resource in drainage, there are two resources. One, space. The drainages have to pass somewhere. Drainage is not like a road where when you meet a rock you divert and change and put corners. Drainage has to move from the highest point to the lowest point. So if you don't have space in between, you'll find a very big challenge in terms of the space. Then the second part is the funding. As you know, KCCA handles a lot of things. It handles the schools, it handles the roads, it handles the health systems, it handles the solid waste. So because of the resource envelope, we all have to share and find a way of not giving the entire budget of KCCA to drainage to handle, because there are also other resources. So for us to actually eliminate the issue of floods, we need about $178 million US. So of course that money is not there. So we make sure that we work with the resources we have to ensure that we minimize or we mitigate the level of flooding that we have. And I'm sure that as cumulatively, as we work on channels each and everywhere with the little resources we have, we are sure that we shall be able to eliminate flooding, especially in the major flood spots.
From an engineer's point of view, how exactly does drainage work, or what are the stages that drainage goes through, building it or constructing it and having it up and running? What are those stages?
Okay. First of all, drainage normally creates itself. Okay. If you have moved into some areas, you realize that you find the channel is small today, then tomorrow it's big. Then it expands. Somehow it gives us the hydraulic lines are there, what they call the water passages. They are present on ground. So what happens is, in the engineering point of view, once we identify a stream or a drainage line, we construct it. We do the surveying, find out the extents, then we do the design. Once we finish doing the design, we get a contractor, or if it is small, some small ones, we do it in-house, just mobilize material and labor, and we construct it. So sometimes we construct stone pitch channels, sometimes we construct concrete channels, sometimes we construct gabions, and sometimes also we do some kind of a hybrid section where we have some concrete and some stone pitch section. So briefly, that is the process of constructing a drainage in an urban setting.
Okay, since we're talking about an urban setting, Kampala is the capital city of Uganda, and some people think Kampala is a swampy area, and which has been encroached on and built into a city. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, because I stay in Kampala as well. Now, you see, a wetland, everybody knows, whether engineers, whether even the common man knows. And our predecessors, they found it wise to create what they call a wetland atlas, where they gazetted these wetlands and ensured that these are water buffer zones. However, when someone goes and constructs the water buffer zone, there is no way you can remove water from there, even if you are the best engineer in the world. You have maybe to pump it, and to pump it to where anyway. So the major cause that we're having issues with flooding in Kampala is basically that wetland encroachment. It's a disaster for us. It is happening everywhere, and people are building within the wetland, and it is causing us a lot of havoc.
What should be done about those people encroaching on the wetlands and building day and night, therefore causing these floods? What should be done by the stakeholders?
One of the stakeholders is NEMA. NEMA is mandated to protect these wetlands. Much as KCCA comes in for the development control aspect, it needs the NEMA support, and we are engaging them day by day. They are cancelling titles. They are giving us a hand where they can. However, you talked about the issue of illegal construction, where you talked about people constructing at night. Now, for construction to go on, you know very well that you have to pass through the approval process. And when you do pass through the approval process, KCCA cannot allow you to construct in the wetland. It is these illegal developments that are going on that are causing us a lot of problems, because they do it, like you said, they do it at night, they do it illegally, they do it on the public holidays, on the weekend. So because of that, we have to catch up. We are in a catch-up phase. However, we have a plan in place where we are going to restore some of these wetlands, at least the ones where we have a construction. We have a plan in place together with NEMA to help us reclaim these wetlands so that they can form the waterway that God intended.
So don't you think that that plan is going to be sabotaged by bribery, because there are some people who give something small to, for example, NEMA, even KCCA officials, so that they leave them to construct, to do something illegal? The bribery, talk about that.
Well, bribery is a national issue. I think corruption is a national issue. I think that what the best thing to do is to do your part. Mm-hmm. You as KCS to do our part. If somebody goes to NEMA and does whatever they do, at least we should be on record that we did our part. In any process, once you do your part, it's teamwork. So they say that a team is as strong as its weakest member. Mm. So we will do our part. We shall serve these people notices, we shall gazette them, we shall deploy enforcement, and you didn't talk about the courts of laws. Now, these days to make any demolition or to remove any legal structure, you need courts input. You need support from the judicial system, because the moment you deploy an excavator on site that you're going to demolish, someone runs to court and they get a court injunction. So it's a process. So many stakeholders, but we are going to do, and we are doing our best. And I assure you that KCCA will at least what is within our control, we shall ensure that the channel corridors are free and also the discharge points are clear from encroachment.
So is it easy for the courts of law to allow KCCA carry out demolitions, or do you have to first go through a lot of tussle and hassle with them? Do they automatically side with KCCA, or do they side with the people who build? Sometimes the people who build in wetlands.
You see, legal issues, it has nothing like a side. Mm-hmm. It depends on how good you make your case. Of course, KCCA has very, very, very competent lawyers, and they have and they know these laws of encroachment and the like. So what happens is that as long as you make your case, like for the courts of law, they will give you the demolition orders. You just have to make your case strong and believable, and you will proceed with implementation or enforcement. Mm. So I don't worry about the court process, because I know that once you present your case, I mean, everybody, wetland is, everybody can see it. It's not something that he said, she said. So I believe that once we have the support, which we do, we shall be able to, slowly by slowly, and as you know that legal processes take a while. Mm. You can begin a legal process today and maybe finish next year. True. So in between that time, people are struggling with flooding, people are what. So sometimes you don't see the processes behind, but they are going on. And unfortunately, by the time they come, some of these flooding events have already happened. But we are working tooth and nail to ensure that we catch up.
Mm. Yes. Okay, what are the challenges faced by KCCA in light of these floods? When they happen, what are the challenges that KCCA faces?
KCCA faces majorly three challenges. The first challenge I talked about earlier. You know, in Uganda, land belongs to the people. So someone can have a land a land title of a channel. So it begins a back and forth engagement. It's more of will, because most times government doesn't have money to compensate the most of our people, the stakeholders. So it's normally a goodwill process. So that time, it takes some time. It's lengthy. It's a discussion, even if it is compensation. by the time you acquire the land, sometimes it takes maybe a year plus. So that's one of the major challenges, the land tenure system. It is very, very challenging because some people who live in who are actually affected by the channels are actually not the landlords. You find some tenants are full of it rains and it floods, but the landlord stays like in Naguru. He doesn't even know. So how are you going to convince that landlord that there's a problem here? Yeah. So that is one of the major challenges. Also the resource constraints in terms of the funding. Like I mentioned earlier, we need about $270 million US, and that one you can't get. It's the resource envelope. It's a constraint within, which is about 50. It comes to about 56 billion per year to implement the flood mitigation measures. So when we work with the regulatory resources we have, the effect of course is less, given that if you have money, you come and dig up the whole city and actually execute the entire drainage master plan that we developed in 2016. But because of the money constraint, is also it creates that challenge. Then the third one is about it's the mistrust in the political will. Most times when KCCA comes into a place to execute a project, like you mentioned earlier about corruption, there's this perception of the public that Baliba sent or something. So the cooperation is not really there, and it is just prejudice. It's not based on any facts. It's not based on any kind of professional assessment, but it's just a prejudice. Like you said, that when KCCA comes, vendors run away. There's that kind of relationship. So we're trying to improve it with the stakeholders to understand that we are there to work for the people. Everything that we do is for the community. It's not for Hassan, or it's not for the KCCA. It's basically every project we implement, we actually do it for. So we need that kind of relationship and sometimes if that relationship is good, people willingly give you their land. So that's what we are trying to develop in KCCA. So those are the three major challenges that we have in developing the drainage infrastructure.
Okay, and what can be done to solve them?
So let me begin with the first one I talked about, the land tenure system. The land tenure system, unfortunately, we have to buy. The unwilling people, we have to buy them out. Oh. And now then that gets affected by number two, which is the money. We need money to pay people, and some people, when they hear it's KCCA paying, they inflate their rates. Says, me, I want this much, even for a low value property. So that is something we have to sort, and unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of stakeholder engagement to educate people that these projects actually are meant for the public, not KCCA as an institution. Then the second part is about the funding. What KCCA is doing is lobbying. We are trying to get different funders. For example, you're aware that we are implementing the ADB project. The African Development Bank gave us some money to implement about 69 kilometers of roads, and all those ones will have drainage. So we try as much as possible, even internally. We pitch our ideas to the finance people and show them the price that we have, and eventually they increase the amount of funding that we are given. That is number two. Then the third one is about the stakeholder engagement. We try to get as much political will as possible, where our technical team liaises with the political wing, because the political wing has a better access to the masses than we do, and they are believed more compared to us. If an engineer goes to the community and starts talking about drainage channels, it's not as effective as the mayor or the councillor or the chairman telling these people. And most of the land that we have gotten is through the political will. So we are working on that, and we are engaging the political leaders as much as we can to ensure that we have the stakeholder will, at least for the projects that are underway.
Okay, you've mentioned something great, the ADB project. Can you tell us more about that?
The ADB project, KCRP, is it's going to rehabilitate about 69 kilometers of roads in different parts of Kampala. And these are majorly road projects. These are roads that are actually beyond the design life, where we need a complete overhaul of the road, where maintenance and pothole patching can no longer work. This is, for example, 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street, which you call, I think, Press Road. Port Bay Road, if you have passed there, you have realized that the contractor has already mobilized. So, and me as a drainage person, I'm very excited about these projects, because all these projects have drainage systems. they have improved drainage systems a lot. So wherever they are traversing, in the communities, on the access roads, in other places, they are going to create a very, very big drainage impact as I work on the drainage network itself. So it's going to have a very big impact in terms of the infrastructure in Kampala. By the time it gets finished, I'm sure a lot of questions will be answered.
Okay. What can KCCA do to come up with more of such projects like ADB so that maybe more challenges can be solved?
Yeah, like I said, one of the key things is pitching to different funders about our ideas on projects. Trust me, we have a lot of designs there at City Hall, fully designed and ready for execution. The challenge comes with the funding. So we are trying to pitch these projects to different funders, the UK Export Finance, for example. We try to, again, a road network. We are trying, even the GKMA project that is coming up, that is the Greater Metropolitan Area. All these projects, once they kick off and once we have them in place, I'm sure the effect, in addition to our in-house and government of Uganda efforts, we shall be able to cover a bigger area and improve the infrastructure massively.
Okay. Talking about the government of Uganda, do you think the government has done its part in supporting KCCA?
Absolutely, because you see, if they're not doing its part, we would have a disaster. You see, sometimes if you have a father at home, is limited by his capacity to take care of you. You can't have a middle class father and ask for a Range Rover. So it's about resource management. I'm sure people in finance or people who are in planning, they share these resources equitably. So I believe they have done according to what they have. That's why I say that these external funders are also coming in to support us, and I'm sure that as we move, as the years go by, we shall be able to implement the infrastructure projects like we plan and design them.
Okay. So besides reconstructing major roads, is there any other initiative to curb the floods?
Yes, I talked about the reconstruction is basically what they call the structure measures.
Okay.
But now we have the non-structure measures. The non-structure measures are those ones that don't involve concrete and cement. They are the ones what they call the soft measures. Mainly is maintenance. If I'm to describe, the channel networks have three components. They have the primary network, they have the secondary, and they have the tertiaries. Now, the primary channels are these big channels you see, Nachivubo, Chinawataka, Nalukolongo, Mayanja, mention all those. Then the secondaries are these ones that feed into those. Now, because we don't have a lot of money to implement the structure measures, we do a lot of non-structure measures. For example, we have teams, if you have moved around, who clean these channels, who remove the silt, who remove the garbage, who open up the sections. So because of that, we have about over 1,000 workers actually.
Wow.
that are deployed in the different parts of the city. But like I told you, we can do as much as resources can allow. We can't go beyond what we basically can do. Then also we have machines, mechanized desilting, where we deploy the excavators. In addition to these manual people, we have the excavators and the tippers and the backhoes, where we deploy them in the different parts, and they assist these manual teams in terms of the maintenance. They make it faster, and then they make it easier to load the silt and take it away. Then the other non-structure measures are what they call the policy issues. Now the policy issues basically is how do we engage the internal system and how do we engage the stakeholders outside the internal system. Within the internal system, we are restructuring in terms of the KCCA deployment patterns. We originally didn't have a presence at the divisions, but now we realize that most of the drainage issues sometimes happen at the division. So we deployed some of our officers at the division. Those are the non-structure measures. Then even in internal capacity, we increased it. We recruited a few people in terms to manage these maintenance activities, and also we are doing the stakeholder engagement. Like I said, through the political leaders, we are trying to engage the masses and inform them that this drainage actually serve you, and it is you that will suffer if you dump a sack of garbage in a culvert. It's not the director, it's not me, because you stay near these places. And even if it's not you have to as part of the structural measures, the stakeholders must be informed that they can police on our behalf. When we come in a place and we are doing an operation, we are cleaning, we identify these culprits who actually are perennial, poor solid waste managers. That one doesn't have a dustbin. Okay. And he has to explain where he puts his garbage. So those are the non-structural measures. They are basically the soft measures, the non-engineering based.
Okay. Yes. Talking about garbage, it seems to be a very big issue. Any ways on how KCCA is trying to solve the issue of garbage?
Yes. Maybe the issue of garbage is a major issue in Kampala. And why it affects us as drainage, I think, is because of obvious reasons. Our channels form part of the canals that take garbage, and eventually we suffer the flooding. However much you do a very big channel, if it can't function because of garbage, it's as useless as not doing it. Now, the major things is to involve the private sector as far as garbage collection is involved. If you have moved around, you realize that the other vehicles that collect garbage at a small fee, that they are not KCCA, but they are private. So one of the things that we are doing that is one of the reasons we are doing that is to increase coverage, because KCCA is, of course, like I said, is limited by the resources they have. So the more people we have collecting garbage at a small, especially from the middle class, as we move into the communities, our people can't afford paying these private garbage collectors. Okay. Then also the other things we are doing about garbage is what they call the SADs, the Sustainable Urban Development Techniques. We encourage a lot of recycling and sorting at household level, where some of this garbage can be reused. It's not that you have to dump all of it and give it to the skip or to the garbage truck to take. Actually, I pass by Chitezi, people collect bottles for a fee. What? Yes, people move around collecting plastics and take it to Chitezi. So we are trying to encourage that recycling aspect, and then the private sector also is helping a lot, and also the other stakeholders like the political leaders are also assisting us in that regard. Yes.
All right. We've of course talked about funding here and there, but I want you to shed a light on the funds allocation more. Do you think that the allocation of these funds is the way it should be? Just shed a brief light on.
That's an interesting question. The way it should be is a very subjective. It's a very subjective question. What should it be? Because nothing is enough. Yeah? And even if government wakes up one morning and gives us $400 million to do drainage, we can implement what we can. But still, even the countries that we admire. Recently, I was seeing Germany and Greece were flooding. Is it an issue of resources?
I don't think
so. It's a question of when you are given something, have you utilized it best? Because when you finish what's on your plate, then you can ask for more food. So I believe that the issue of funding is going to improve with time, but cumulatively, this little money that is every year, you can make a difference. Whether it is with $10 million, you make the next year you get 20. You make your case better, another year you get 30. So it's an issue of a cumulative impact rather than a discrete value that we have that give us this. Because even that $200 million, they can give it to you and you fail to utilize all of it. So it's about building capacity within internally, externally. Then the funding, when it comes in, you are ready for it and we are ready to consume it. So currently, of course, the funding a little bit less than what we budget for. We have that challenge, but there are mechanisms in place where we shall catch up and do and reach a level which we actually want to be at.
So I'm wondering, because you kept telling us about the $270 billion, yes. I'm wondering if government said, okay, it's there, then what? Would the issue be solved completely?
Yes, because like I explained earlier, we have what they call the Kampala Drainage Master Plan that we developed in 2016. It's up to 2060. It is divided into the short term up to 2021, up to 2040, and up to 2060. Between 2021 and 2040 is the medium term. Okay. So this one is like our Bible in drainage. It gives us the step-and-step process of how to manage these floods. So even that $270 million I'm talking about, it is tagged to interventions. It is not just lump sum money. It is basically saying use 11 million here, use 10 million here, do this and this. Deal with the bottlenecks first do the crossings that we have, then deal with the discharge points, especially the structural measures. So it's a road. We have a complete roadmap. We are just waiting if we can be able to get money from government, from different funders, from even the private sector. We can be able to actually execute the energy master plan to perfection. I'm confident on that.
All right, thank you, Hassan. Let me ask about maybe your involvement of the public. How are you involving the public to enhance flood risks? We
are involving the public, for example, now. I'm sure I'm talking to the public.
Yes, you are.
One of the ways we're involving the public is awareness. We have to tell these people that much as they may not be engineers, may not be technical people, but everybody knows that for a place to be flood-free, the system has to function. Even at home, even if you have a small drainage at home, once in a while you tell the house help, because you are aware that when the channel doesn't function, you basically cannot have peace in your home. So we are trying as much as possible. We have outreach programs where our PCA teams go out and encourage good solid waste management. We have our officers on ground who move door to door, or if in case of a project where we educate people about the impact of the project and how it has to be sustained. Then the most important thing how we normally involve the public is through the building application process. When you apply for a permit to build in Kampala, we take you through the importance of having a good drainage network. Now imagine cumulatively a good drainage network of an entire neighborhood. That place will never flood because everybody is planning in an integrated form rather than the legal structures which cause a lot of problems for us because they do things which are unengineered, unguided, and by the time you want to back titrate or redo it, becomes costly for them, it becomes a battle and becomes a lot of headache. So most of the times we encourage our people to always seek guidance from KCCA. We have very competent engineers there who can guide them on the program, on the way they can plan their development to an extent that one, they don't flood, they don't have they don't affect those that are neighboring them. You find someone is low lying, then they feel over 5 meters. Those are the things that we discourage. Okay. So that's one of the ways we involve the stakeholders is through the building application process.
Okay, so people should not get scared of KCCA when they see you guys, is what you're saying? Because sometimes you're coming to sensitize them.
We by the case for KCCA to take action, they will always give you amnesty. It is very rare, and I've worked in KCCA now about 10 years. I've never seen KCCA going to a place. They always first come and talk to, because ideally we're not interested in enforcement. Enforcement is just like the last resort. We are interested in more of dialogue and educating people of the impact. Even when you are having an illegal building, they first serve you a notice. They say, please remove these things after 28 days. Sometimes they even come back and say, please, we requested you to do, what have you done about it? So by the time they come, so those people you see on pickup, so people you see and creates that negative image of KCCA, it's the tail end of the process. And I'm sure that if everybody was compliant, we would not even be seeing that kind of enforcement. But we encourage our people to, KCCA is an interactive institution. It doesn't work in the silo. We also live in the communities that we for these people. So it's more of a dialogue process, and we encourage, we have our divisions, and we request our people at the different parts to ask as much as possible. Ignorance is no defense. But when you ask, you understand, the divisions are there. We even have the workers that are in the communities. We have our ward administrators, who you call the parish chiefs. You can involve them, even the local leaders actually. Most of them sit at KCCA now. You can also ask them about the laws and, so that you're not caught off guard. So
the public can walk to government offices, for example, district division offices, and request to speak to a KCCA official.
Yes, because you see, we are public servants, and I'm sure even if you wanted an appointment with the ED, you just have to go through a PA, and I'm sure she'll listen to you, because we are employed to actually serve the public,
Yeah.
and that's why we are called public servants. So if we are to serve the public, how can you serve the public when you don't have an open door policy? So from the headquarters or from the divisions, I'm sure you cannot go to one of those places and ask for help and then they turn you away. I'm absolutely sure. It's not in our best interest. We want to involve the public as much as possible, because the public are the ones that use this infrastructure. They are the reasons why we actually construct this infrastructure. Though it's not KCCA going to pass on all the 69 kilometers of roads. No, it is not even the employees of KCCA can manage to use it, but we do it for the public. So any question, any clarification you require, it's totally within your right to come to any KCCA office and inquire, and I'm sure you'll get all the answers you need.
Okay. That is Engineer Hassan Wasswa from KCCA, the drainage department, and we are still discussing the floods that have become a rampant problem in Kampala. My name is Clare. We're going to take a very short break and return with more on issues at hand. Don't go away. We are powered by Prevailing Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Welcome back to Issues at Hand. Thank you so much for keeping it Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Carol and you're welcome back to our program. We're still discussing drainage and floods in general. And our guest in studio has given us a very informative information. I don't know if that's correct English about this topic, and we're still continuing. My question, Hassan, the first one would be, do people get compensated when their stuff disappears in the floods?
That's an interesting one. It's like asking that does police compensate the accident victims?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, nobody intends floods. So it's really difficult for you to set up a fund, and then you say that this fund is to compensate the flood victims. Of course, it is very unfortunate incidents that where we have people who I saw recently last time about a vehicle which was immersed in water. Those are very unfortunate events, and they're very regrettable. However, KCCA doesn't have the money to set aside to pay flood victims. If the money was there, I'm sure it would be with the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness or something that deal with such. However, I've seen some private businesses doing what they call flood insurance policies, where especially those ones in flood-prone areas. I've seen a few in Golobi, Tinda, and even Namambe. I've seen some people with flood insurance policies. We don't encourage. It's not something we encourage, but in case you're in a flood-prone area, I'm sure you can take on a flood insurance policy.
Okay.
Especially if the flooding is because of you, the developer, because most people who take all those insurances are actually the main cause of those flooding incidences in their place. However, KCCA as an institution doesn't have that fund for flood compensations. Yes.
Thank you. Maybe let's get to climate, the impact of climate change on floods. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. Everyone knows that climate change is a global issue. It creates a lot of, for example, rains have been a lot of rains in September compared to what we expected. Normally rains peak around April and November, but the patterns keep changing. So this distorts our planning, and also the intensities. Before, we used to have what they call high duration, low intensity rains, where it rains for a long time but slowly. Now it rains for 2 hours but massively because of the high temperatures and the climate changes we're talking about. However, in the planning process, we're taking care of this now. We tend to, I wouldn't call it, I'd call it design some redundancy, take care of the climate change. For example, if I need a channel of 4 meters, I'll increase another 0.5, take care of the uncertainties and basically like some kind of factor of safety. So as we plan and develop these things, we are aware, we live, like I said, we live in this city as well. So we can observe and see that there's a problem here and how we can incorporate this into the planning and execution processes. Okay,
so now you believe by the time, maybe if climate keeps on changing, you know how to handle it.
Yes, models can take you so far. We use prediction models and we use climate change models, but the nature is funny. Like I told you, even the best countries in the world who have studied water, like Netherlands, also have these what I would call outlier incidents. Like you plan something and something else happens. So the mathematical modeling and the engineering can go so far, but at least they can mitigate. I can say maybe about 90% of the predictions are always right. So like in the design manuals that we have, we took care of all these uncertainties as much as possible, and I'm sure that even future engineers will come after us. We'll also take it on from there.
Okay. So what are some of the lessons you've learned from this whole unfortunate happening of the floods?
One of the lessons we have learned is quick action. I know prevention is better than cure, but sometimes when something happens, it's how fast you react. We have set up some mobile teams, what we call the flood response unit. The purpose of this unit is to be mobile when it is raining, as you people are hiding underneath station canopies or in buildings that's raining. Our team is moving around. The purpose of this team is to unblock those channels, because you see you can have a flood in Kampala Road, for example, when what is causing it is just someone was walking and they dropped a mineral water bottle in the channel. Then it blocks the inlet and the whole place becomes a mess. So we implemented the response unit. Then also it's because we have known these flood points, we have deployed permanent teams at the different points. For example, we know that Bonga Soya will flood.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So we deploy there a permanent team to clean, we deploy there a machine to dredge in the entire rainfall season. And then the third thing that we have done is quick action in terms of illegal developments. These days when we find that an illegal development is going on, the action is quicker. We don't wait it to blow out of place and then you run and So and also we also utilize the dry season a lot, because in drainage the dry season is for planning and execution, because you can't do much when it is actually raining. So those are the lessons that we have learned over the years, painful as they are, but it's better you learn than not learn them, and also you tag your improvement on the lessons that you have learned.
Okay, and what about the long-term strategies that you have as KCCA?
One of the, like I said, the long-term strategies we have is implementation of the KDMP, the Kampala Drainage Master Plan 2016. The Kampala Drainage Master Plan 2016 actually, like I said, it's a roadmap. It's up to 2060, so I don't know whether some of us will be around. But those that will be around will continue from where I would have stopped, and we need to lay a very good foundation for these for these plans. So I believe that once the master plan is implemented, word by word and dot by dot, I'm sure we shall not have floods in the city. But like I said, the land tenure system is going to cause a problem, because channels require space, which space we don't have in terms of the land tenure systems, and also the way people develop their land. They develop in silos. It's not integrated. It's not like an estate where everything is planned out. So someone does this, house B does this, house C does this. So in the end, it creates a little bit of challenges for us. But we are working on ensuring that we educate these people. We educate them about the legal processes and how to pass through the right channels, and guide them, especially as much as we can.
Okay. Any advice for the land tenure system? How exactly should it be handled, in your opinion?
Unfortunately, the land tenure system is still a challenge. I'm sure even if you ask the land board itself, they will not have an answer for that. But I believe that one of the key things we can do is gazette these reserves as fast as we can, in terms of the channel corridors. We can be able to. There are some existing corridors. Not all is lost. There are some existing corridors that we have. So we are moving fast for us to gazette a few and say this is the channel reserve. Don't do this. And like I said, once someone passes through the right channels, we have this information. So we shall say that your land just comes here, but give 4 meters for the reserve. So if the entire channel, everybody is coming to us, then it's easy. Then also the other advice I would give is that you don't use all your space. Like for example, we encourage a lot of rainwater harvesting, because if all of us do some rainwater harvesting, we do some, we do like gardens and what, and basically those green spaces, it helps, it reduces. Imagine a community upstream, all of them with gardens, and they are doing rainwater harvesting. The impact downstream will be very little. So those are called the SAD, the Sustainable Urban Development Techniques that we encourage our people. But like I said earlier, we only implement these to those that actually seek our guidance, and we can't really implement those that are doing it illegally, apart from removing what they have done.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much. And lastly, as we wrap up, where does the hope lie? Where do we see Kampala in the next 10 years? Do we see it flooding like it is now, or basically where does the hope lie?
Like I said earlier, it is a step-by-step process. In 10 years, the effort is to reduce flooding. Yeah, it should be like slowly as we get to where we want to be. Like I said, the master plan is about 40 years. So in 10 years, we shall have reached somewhere. We shall have eliminated a lot of these black spots. However, we will not be where we would want to be. But we are in case something changes, something can change, and you get a funder who gives you $200 million. Why wouldn't you eliminate flooding in Kampala? So a lot of hope and a lot of work that we are doing behind the scenes. So to ensure that once we implement this master plan, we shall be free from floods in the city.
Okay, and your last words to our viewers this morning.
Our viewers, thank you for taking your time to watch us. What I appeal to people is, like I described when I was beginning this discussion, was about the process from the collection point, the conveyance point, and the discharge point. So I'm sure all our viewers, they are somehow involved in that process. At collection point, you can be able to collect your water, you can be able to construct more green spaces. Then in the conveyance process of the drainage, you can be able to protect these channels that are draining your areas. For example, you can avoid dumping garbage in the channels. It's very good. You can report those ones that are encroaching on the channels. You can even tag. You can even, because people these days like social media.
Yeah.
When you see someone is encroaching on a channel, please make it go viral so that KCCA takes action. Or if you realize someone is vandalizing the drainage system, then for the discharge points, these are our people in the low-lying areas. Please don't encroach on the wetlands. Let the drainage function as God intended it, okay, so that we are able to all live in a comfortable environment.
Thank you so much, our guest engineer Wasswa Hassan, for this beautiful information. The discussion was the interventions into the prevailing floods of the city roads, and we hope for the better. We hope for a better Kampala. We hope for a Kampala that does not have floods. We hope to be in a city one day where when it rains, roads don't flood, and of course we do not get the issues that we have been getting. Remember to report all these issues through KCCA. You can tag them, I think, on their Twitter. They are very active, and they will come to your rescue in case you have some of these challenges. My name is Karen Wamani. Thank you so much for being a part of Issues at Hand this morning. We are powered by Prevailing Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.